One of my favorite things to do is to watch a star basketball player develop in front of me. There's just something about scouting youth that gets you excited. Any player in college basketball can be a star in the NBA, and any dominant NCAA star can be awful in the NBA. Watching how some of these players' skill sets translate over and fail to translate in the pros is by far one of the most exciting things for me to observe as a basketball fan. For example, Devin Booker was a 4-star recruit according to Rivals when he enrolled at Kentucky. During his time in Kentucky, he was primarily a spot-up shooter. Despite this, many scouts hailed Devin Booker as the next Kobe Bryant Steph Curry hybrid, a player with a tremendous work ethic and a beautiful shooting stroke that could be developed into a franchise cornerstone if he was drafted by the correct team. I'm sure we all know the rest of the story with Devin Booker. At least so far, he looks like one of the best players from the 2015 NBA draft. But what about this year? Who will be this year's Stephen Curry, Devin Booker, or Ben Simmons? Are there any Donovan Mitchells around, or a Draymond Green? Is there a Kyle Kuzma in this year's draft? Well, unfortunately, it's too soon to determine that. However, there is one unique characteristic about this year's NBA draft that we haven't seen in many years. So far, from the beginning of November until now, there have been 4 to 5 potential #1 overall picks. Yes, it's actually pretty insane because players aren't dethroning the #1 pick because the #1 pick isn't good enough. Players are dethroning the #1 pick because this year's draft seems to be the deepest draft we have ever seen. And it sucks that the depth for this draft is so great because I'm a Laker fan. I can easily see 4 to 5 players in this year's draft becoming bona fide superstars and franchise cornerstones. I figured it'd be a good idea to make a video on this so you guys can be aware of some of the biggest risers in college basketball so you can keep posted on their draft status as well. So what's going on, Mike Mafia? Yeah, I came up with a new name, Mike Mafia. Hope you're doing well. And today we're going to be covering some of the players in college basketball that are boosting their draft stocks tremendously. Now, bear in mind, college basketball has a lot of players and a lot of teams, and I've decided to only cover the risers in this draft video. There's 3 in particular that have just blown me away the most, and I figured I would need to do my due diligence and really cover these 3 players in order to best inform you guys of what's going on in college basketball. Now, of course, I am definitely going to be missing a couple of players here, so if I happen to miss any player that you think I'm just completely sleeping on, let me know in the comment section down below. Tell me why, and I will do my research on him and possibly make a video on him in the future. Now, without further ado, let's get started with our very first player because I'm extremely excited about this guy because he is #1. DeAndre Ayton. In a draft class that features Luka Doncic, Michael Porter Jr., and Marvin Bagley, it's DeAndre Ayton that is appearing to lead the race as the consensus #1 overall pick thus far. DeAndre Ayton averages 20 points on 62% shooting. He's demonstrated the rare ability to dominate offensively with ease, which is more than what we thought he was. Coming into this year, we all knew that DeAndre Ayton was an athletic freak of nature, but what we did not know is how polished his offensive game is. He is 1.06 on points per possession on post-ups and 1.4 points per possession out of isolation, which is in the 97th percentile according to Synergy Sports. With his back to the basket, Ayton has shown the footwork to get a quality shot and the one-handed touch and control to convert at a high rate. By the way, he also can hit threes, which is an absolute must for a big man in today's NBA, demonstrating further that he can be a spot-up or a pick-and-pop option. The only negatives with Ayton are his defensive instincts and motor. He only averages about 1 block per game, and he hasn't appeared energetic when it comes to rim protection or pick and roll reads. As long as he continues to score on the inside and outside, Ayton should be the top pick by June. His potential reminds too many scouts of Karl Anthony Towns not to be. #2, Trae Young. Meet a player who everyone is calling the next Stephen Curry. I honestly believe I can make a whole video on Trae Young, and if you want to see it, let me know in the comment section down below. Young has appeared to be this year's Steph Curry or Jimmer Fredette, as he is without a doubt this year's breakout star. The question is whether this level of production will translate at the NBA level. Young burst onto the scene with 26 points and 22 assists against Northwestern State not too long ago. Young also leads the nation in both scoring and dishing. demonstrating an elite skill in both departments. He also makes 3.6 3-pointers per game and ranks in the 95th percentile in isolation offense and averages 1.5 points per possession on runners, which is good enough for 4th most in the country. He's been insanely productive as a pick and roll ball handler. At this point, we can all agree that a prototypical NBA point guard must be able to score the ball while limiting turnovers. Trae Young has an insane assist to turnover ratio of almost 3-to-1, which at the time of this video is 102 assists to 38 turnovers. Considering the fact that he has a usage percentage of 35.6, which is the 2nd highest rate in the country, that should prove that Young takes incredible care of the ball. Young has proven that he can do absolutely anything at this point, boasting a 47% field goal percentage and a 39% 3-point percentage. Honestly, there's just so much about Trae Young to talk about, and I'm confident that I cannot get it all in one video. So if you want a full video on Trae Young, let me know in the comment section down below. Number 3, Mikal Bridges. The potential has always been there with Mikal Bridges, and in Villanova, we have always expected him to sort of break out, but the problem is there was Josh Hart in front of him and he was already a seasoned player, so there was no point in really expecting much from Mikal Bridges in his redshirt freshman year, because he was just a reserve on a Villanova team that actually won the NCAA championship. But it didn't really materialize last season, when Bridges just took a secondary role to Josh Hart. Needless to say, it's all materialized this season, as Bridges looks like the rare 4th-year college student who's going to be a lottery pick. He's all over the court, an absolute hawk on defense who can do it on offense as well, making a bunch of 3-pointers, which at the time of this video is 47%, and being the unquestioned #1 option for the #1 ranked Villanova. He's a two-way physical marvel and is the closest thing we have in this year's draft to being a Paul George archetype. He's made a bigger jump in production this season than any upperclassman in college hoops, and given the fact that players that stay in college for a longer time tend to become more polished in the NBA, I have no doubt that this guy ends up going in the lottery, and if he ends up slipping, I have no doubt that he's going to just be a highly productive player in the NBA. And those are 3 players who I see their stocks soaring the most so far. I'm definitely going to be making way more videos on this year's draft class because it's a draft class that features Michael Porter Jr., Marvin Bagley, DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, and Trae Young. So I'm gonna have a ton of content on this year's draft, so I need you guys to let me know in the comment section down below. I'm gonna be reading and replying to each and every one of these comments. What draft videos should we do next? Are there any players that are under the radar that I should cover? Let me know in the comment section and let me know why. Other than that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'll catch you guys later.